Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening to us, wherever you're listening to us, we're happy that you're listening to us. Welcome to episode 5 of the Geeks Who Like Sports podcast. As always, I am Ray Carcillo, joined by my best buddy over in Philadelphia, Lee Elias. Lee, how's it going today?
Ray, last week it was sunny and springy. Today it is dreadful outside. It is raining, it is dark, and it's perfect for the topics that we're speaking about today.
Yes, sir. We have a lot of great stuff to talk about. Just a heads up, folks. Next week, we will be talking about Avengers Endgame. We're going to give you guys a full week to go see the movie. This way, we're not spoiling.
Yeah, we've both seen it. We know. Ray and I know everything.
We
know
do
it all.
know. We
but
do know.
We're not going to spoil it because
we will not.
Unwritten rules, Ray.
Yeah.
It's unwritten rules. We don't spoil things like a lot of people have online already because they're jerks.
Yeah, no, we're going to give you a full week to go see it. I saw it early. Lee saw it last night.
What would you have to throw that in there for?
I'm just,
I saw it early. No, that's it. Ray does get to see a lot of movies early because of who he is and what he does, and I have to pay like the rest of the people. But I get my hockey equipment for free. That's all I got.
That's a lot. That's a lot, though.
I'll take it.
Yeah. But we're not talking about Avengers this week. We are going to talk a little bit about hockey, but this week we'll be primarily focusing on the NFL draft.
Yes.
The first round has taken place at the moment of that we're recording this, and we're also going to talk about the biggest video game reveal, the video game release, I should say, probably of the years so far.
Yeah, for sure. That's fair.
Mortal Kombat 11. So let's get started actually with MK11. Mortal Kombat, of course, been around since 1992. We're approaching the 30th anniversary. This series is a fighting game staple. You find yourself either in a Street Fighter camp or you're a Mortal Kombat kid. You're one or the other. Personally, for me, I've always been a Mortal Kombat guy. And this game is more gore, more blood, more guts. It is so over the top, so cognizant of itself that it even finally finds a way to explain mirror matches in this year's game, which deals with time travel. Lee, what do you think of Mortal Kombat 11? What does the series mean to you? Because I know you're also a longtime fan and have played many iterations of it. What do you think of this newest game that's just come out?
Well, I love it when things are able to come full circle, and this game has absolutely done that, from the storyline to the game itself and the playable. When you look at Mortal Kombat history from 1992, so you talked about Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. For maybe the younger listeners out here, they surfaced around the same time. I think Street Fighter was the predecessor, right? Street Fighter was a little bit earlier.
Street Fighter came first, yeah.
And then Mortal Kombat came out, and with all the blood and gore from 1992 graphics, there was a lot of controversy, and there was a time when Mortal Kombat really was dipping hard. I didn't know if it was going to make it. And then Street Fighter 2 came out 16 times, so that was a different era. But what's cool is that that universe has really expanded over the last 20 something years, 27 years, something like that. So. It's cool to see it, allow it to make fun of itself, allow it to kind of do that in a way that actually supports the storyline, and then to also just usher it into a new era of the gaming. It's cool. It's gone through different developers. It's gone through different characters. There were some really bad games. There were some bad shoot-off games.
Yeah.
But they've really kind of found their niche in the modern gaming atmosphere, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, we all remember. Well, we all try to forget anyway. Shaolin monks,
Sub-Zero.
Yeah, Sub-Zero. Yeah, it's had some hit or misses as it's tried to expand the universe. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's gone through different iterations. Of course, when Midway went under and then reemerged like a phoenix as NetherRealm, the series still survived, and fittingly, similarly, when that happened. Mortal Kombat Armageddon, Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. These were kind of the swan songs for the series because it had gotten too bloated, too over the top, too ridiculous. Ed Boon, creative director, one of the co-creators of Mortal Kombat, was smart enough to take a step back, see what was working, see what wasn't, and then with Mortal Kombat 9 basically relaunched the series by having Raiden go back in time and change certain things. And of course, now in Mortal Kombat 11, we're dealing with the ramifications of that. We have a new villain named Kronika. She is of a god status similar to Raiden, but she controls time. A little better than lightning, depending on who you ask. But she is not happy with obviously what Raiden has done, and is trying to put the timeline back on its course by killing everyone.
Yep.
So
it's a very Mortal Kombat thing to do.
yes, exactly. But because of this, you have old Liu Kang fighting alongside young Liu Kang. You have young Kung Lao and old Kung Lao. You have young Raiden, old Raiden. You have all the Johnny Cage, all the originals, plus a few new characters, all their old versions, plus their current versions, meeting, converging, trying to stop this crazed god.
Yeah. Again, very Mortal Kombat storyline.
Yes. But it makes sense, and it plays so well, and I think that's something that what NetherRealm has really nailed in the past few years, starting with Mortal Kombat 9 and also the Injustice series, is finding a way to craft a narrative that works in a fighting game, where you can actually play a fighting game by yourself. You don't have to go online if that's not your thing, and still get a really enjoyable narrative experience.
Well, I think that's the thing that you nailed, is that 11 games and since 1992 is that universe has expanded to the point they can tell these stories, and we're familiar with a lot of the characters. I mean, it's become its own universe. Whereas, Street Fighter is really essentially, I mean, it's got a storyline, but it's a fighting game. Like, you don't play Street Fighter because of the story. Right. I mean, you did in the beginning, but ever since the movie came out, which we won't talk about, no one's wanted to know about the story about that. But Mortal Kombat has a really rich story, and again, people dive into it like they dive into any cinematic or video game universe in which there's a rich story. And I think the thing is too is you're invested in the characters.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that's one of the things that makes Mortal Kombat so great. And again, I love we're entering an era of gaming now, where they have to appease kind of people in their 30 to 40 range, because they grew up playing games, and they all have to appease the younger age, and that's why you probably have this mix of 1992 and 2019 characters together, because it's fun to see 1990s ridiculous Johnny Cage. It's fun to see that. You know what I mean? And then
they even brought back the 1992 theme for their trailer.
Yes,
and
they
their
did.
Commercial.
They did from the movie.
From the movie. Yeah, they actually. So I think it's 94. I think.
Whatever.
Actually, that came out.
I actually enjoyed that movie. That movie was really fun.
The
they
first
did a good
one.
job.
The first one was very fun.
Yeah, I'm not
second
talking
one
about the
not so
second
much.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Yes.
I heard they might be making another one.
I think it'd be great if they made another one.
Yeah, I'd have no problem with that. The first movie was phenomenal. I mean, it really how do you say this? It really filled a cinematic gap in your chest from playing these games as a kid. And look, when we talk about Mortal Kombat, we should really talk about this game has always innovated, or maybe I should say pushed the boundaries of what gaming is. I mean, from really the beginning. I mean, this game first Mortal Kombat came under incredible scrutiny for the violence, which today's standards is a joke from that game, but just the fact that they were showing blood and gore, and that someone could rip someone's head through their spine and out of their body. There's understandably a lot of parents were a little upset about that. It was a time in gaming where we didn't really know how people would react to that. And then they really pushed the 3D boundaries when in Mortal Kombat 4. I remember when that came out for Nintendo 64. I believe it was 4. Yeah.
Yep.
And it was the first time we saw these characters fully animated in 3D and 3D of the time. So
right.
Not 3D like Oculus or anything like that. And that was a fun game. And I remember the first time the camera would spin around the arena. That really pushed boundaries back then. You didn't see stuff like that. And you have to keep in mind too, that's a really interesting era, that kind of late 90s time period, because those games look horrible by today's standards, but they had to do something. That was the start of not 2D graphics pretty much. And Mortal Kombat led the way with that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, we used to talk about, we don't talk about it as much with polygon count, but that was the first time they started to really kind of use polygons to kind of to basically start crafting characters and utilize and create those 3D spaces like you mentioned. I mean, yes, was Mortal Kombat 4 the best in the series? No. But was it important? Yes. You can still say it was important to the series and important to helping to be important to gaming overall, along with a lot of those other N64, PS1 era games.
Yeah, and then was Mortal Kombat Deception, was that 9? Was that what it was called?
No, I think Armageddon was. Mortal Kombat 9 was just Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, you're right. I remember this now. Yeah, but the story modes, like when it was on. I think PS2 is when the stories really started coming into it. Yeah,
you had Deadly Alliance, Deception,
that's right.
Armageddon. Deadly Alliance wasn't that bad, by the way, with Quan Chi teaming up with Shang Tsung.
That's right. I remember that. That. We were in college when that came out.
Yes, that's right. And you had special little videos you can unlock in the crypt, cooking with Scorpion.
Yeah, that's right. like things like that. Like the game's never been afraid to make fun of itself. And I think people have always appreciated that.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, because it's like when you think about it, it's ridiculous and people know it. I mean, like we're long past the time period of when people used to be like, I don't understand. How could he survive that? He just stabbed them in the eyes and he's still fighting. Like people like, it's not real.
Yeah. It's just trying to be as visceral as possible.
Yeah. They do a great job. They just really get it. They really get it. And you give NetherRealm credit for that. They really understand the base and they understand where they need to go. And like just going back to what I said about risk taking and about like pushing boundaries, like DC Universe versus Mortal Kombat. Yeah. That was a major gamble on multiple fronts.
Yeah.
Multiple fronts, all right? Because I mean, I've spoken about this off the show about how they were clearly testing the superhero base to see if they could make a game with that made sense. Mm-hmm. And then, like again, I remember you and I discussed at the time, like how are they going to do blood and gore with like Superman, all these kid-friendly things? And they kind of pulled it off. I mean, it wasn't anywhere near as gory as a normal Mortal Kombat game, but it was intense to kind of watch it. And then what I remember about that game too is like, how are they going to pull off a storyline? And they did. They kind of pulled off a storyline that was like, this is fun.
Yeah. I mean, and as many problems as that game ended up having, it's what spawned the Mortal Kombat Rebirth with Mortal Kombat 9, and then for some more importantly, Injustice.
Yeah, absolutely. Which was a phenomenal game, both of them.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So I know we're talking about Mortal Kombat 11, but like just as a series as a whole, Mortal Kombat really has transcended what a lot of other games couldn't do. And there were, here's the other thing too. I remember at the turn of the century, there were a lot of games that came in that tried to kind of compete with Mortal Kombat on a gory level. Yeah. And some of them had some success, but none of them made it past. Because the truth is this, the gore might have been the original thing that I think attracted people to Mortal Kombat, but it really, I mean, it's still part of it. I don't want to downplay fatalities and everything like that. Like, it's awesome. But that's not the only thing people come back for now. Like, they want to know what's going to happen. They want to know the storyline. They want to know what these characters are doing because we're invested in them now.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, people still want to still do Scorpion versus Sub-Zero. People still want to see what's going on with Liu Kang, who got turned into a zombie in the last game. So it's cool to see zombie Liu Kang versus
again,
not zombie Liu Kang. Yeah, he got turned into again zombie, but
it's happened before. He's died many times.
He keeps dying. I mean, it's like a comic book, right? Like guys die, they come back, they get reanimated. It happens.
Now, here's a Geeks Who Like Sports type comment here, right? One of the really cool things about the DC Mortal Kombat game, I just want to talk about that real quick, is that was a really big deal for DC, and I think people don't realize, like, that's the world DC kind of should be playing in. The difference between DC and Marvel has always been Marvel is kind of more the reality that we live in, and DC isn't. It's a totally different reality. Whereas you and I always say DC is superheroes trying to become human, and Marvel is people trying to become superheroes. Yeah. Right? And the thing is, like, the ridiculousness of Mortal Kombat versus DC worked. That should be a message kind of to, like, not just DC, but that universe, the DC universe works in these type of scenarios. And that's kind of I almost wish they would invest more into that type of story building, because it's like, it's ridiculous. Like DC should not be afraid to make fun of itself either. Yeah. Ray, I just did my third week in a row of dropping my phone on the floor. I felt like I needed to say that. I was thinking about it before the show. Like, don't drop your phone up. It just happened. Anybody listening? I'm going to go pick it up now.
Okay. No, but I mean, I will say this about Mortal Kombat. I mean, I know there are some people who are mad out there because it has microtransactions. Here's the thing, folks. You don't need to spend money to beat the game. And it's not really that much of a grind either. It's all just cosmetic stuff. Like, so I mean.
But that's modern gaming, though. Like, here's the thing, man. These companies have to make money somehow, all right? And the thing is that they're adapting to the marketplace just like everybody else, okay? People aren't running to stores anymore to buy cartridges or CDs. It's not 2002. Like, they have to find ways to make money to keep the industry alive. And, like, the way I look at it is this. When you do downloadable content or microtransactions or anything like that, when you do those things, you're investing in that company. You're telling them you're doing a good job. And if you think the game sucks, don't buy it. For example, if a franchise that I love more than any other franchise that rhymes with Schmarshmores, okay, made a bad game, like
I
a
mean,
really bad game, and they're like,
several
"Oh, you
bad
can
games.
pay and download a whole new storyline that you want to read." I'm not doing that because you made a bad game.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? I mean, like at the end of the day, it's your dollars. You can decide how to invest, or if you just want the base game and just want to spend the $60, it's really easy to just close your wallet and not spend more money. And again, especially in a game like Mortal Kombat 11, you don't have to spend more money.
Yeah.
I get how much you may want the cosmetic stuff, but you don't have to buy it. So
Yeah.
I think So I think again, Mortal Kombat 11 so far. I haven't beaten it yet. I played it a little bit more than Lee, but we're both getting through it. We're both fighting. We're both excited
Yeah.
to. I look forward to beating up on Lee online.
Hey, listen. You want to hear a funny story about Mortal Kombat? And this is a true story. People hate when I say that, but it is. So there was a time where my wife and I, or girlfriend and I at the time, if we were having like a silly argument, nothing super serious, but if we were having an argument and we couldn't decide it, we had a rule that if one of us shouted Mortal Kombat, we'd have to fight in Mortal Kombat, and whoever won the match won the argument.
That's awesome.
This is completely real. It also means I have the greatest wife of all
I was
time.
about to say that's why Janet is fantastic.
She is awesome. But here's the thing. We recently got Mortal Kombat 11, and I think I might bring back martial law with that. I really liked it back then because I used to win all the time. She did win once in a while, but no, we would settle arguments with Mortal Kombat. So just before we transition out of this, I just wanted, in respect to Mortal Kombat and everyone who's ever worked on it, I'm just going to run through the entire, very quickly, Mortal Kombat lineup. So all the games, okay? Because I don't think people realize how many games have been out there. I mean, I know they know there's 11, but here we go. Ready? Mortal Kombat 1992, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat Mythology, Sub-Zero. Moment of silence for that one.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 4, Mortal Kombat Special Forces, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Mortal Kombat Deception.
I forgot all about Special Forces.
Yeah, well, there's a reason for that. Yeah, so Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Mortal Kombat Deception, Mortal Kombat Armageddon, Mortal Kombat, that's Mortal Kombat 9.
Right.
Mortal Kombat 10, Mortal Kombat 11. And I remember Mortal Kombat 9 was really good. I remember that when it came out.
Yeah.
They really came back with a bang, and the crypt in that game was phenomenal too. I do remember that. Like you could be in the crypt for hours in that game trying to find stuff.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 10's crypt was even better. I think. Like,
Yeah.
The crypt only gets better and bigger every iteration
Yeah,
and whatnot.
it's brilliant.
Mortal Kombat 9 had Cyber Sub-Zero, which was a great twist in the story.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I remember that.
So,
just good stuff. Just really good stuff.
Yeah.
But
so moving from some good stuff to, if you're a Giants fan like me, a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah, scary stuff.
The NFL draft. So we're moving into our sports section. Actually, before we get into the draft, I'm gonna call an audible here, a football term. I know we also wanted to touch very quickly upon the NHL playoffs. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of stuff has happened. We are out of the first round of the NHL playoffs. It's the first time ever every division winner has not advanced past the first round.
Yep. Crazy.
The Capitals lost in Game 7 to Carolina in overtime, and you have all of the lower seeds have advanced, and I don't know who the heck's going to win the cup now, Lee.
Nobody does. Yeah, nobody does. Listen, here's the thing with the NHL playoffs, and I'm a massive hockey guy, is that what people should discuss now, which no one wants to discuss, is that newer playoff format working? And I would make a major statement that it is.
Yeah.
Because the playoffs are incredibly unpredictable. You have one of the greatest teams in regular season history out, swept in the first round.
Yeah.
All right. If you want to talk about parity right now, the NHL has it.
Yep.
All right. Again, that means all the wild card teams won. Every wild card team in the NHL won the first round. All right. It's incredible.
I would argue that hockey has more parity than any other sport right
It
now,
clearly
excuse
does.
me.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, basketball would be at the bottom. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
And baseball's baseball's a tiny bit above it. I mean, here's the thing: if baseball didn't play like 3 times as many games, I might not be able to say that.
Yeah. Well, I think baseball also. I mean, once they expand, they're looking to expand to 32 teams. They're going to change their playoff format to something that's more traditional, like you see in football, basketball, or hockey.
Well, who thought that the NHL would be the next second team to 32 teams? By the way, that's pretty incredible. Obviously, starting in a couple seasons, there'll be 32 teams in the NHL when Seattle comes in. But yeah, look, the NHL playoffs have been exciting in the first round. Again, you can toss it up right now. Nobody knows who's going to win. I think that's awesome. It gives it severe watchability. I mean, you have endless storylines right now too. It's not like the best team's still in it against. It's like, no, these teams all have an identity that are like incredible to watch, and you want to watch. You want to see who's going to come out on top. Yeah. So yeah, we definitely need to touch on that because the first round is over. It actually started. The second round started last night. Boston took a game against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and we'll continue to touch base on that moving forward. Before we do move into the NFL draft, do want to let you know that this week's matchup, we always like to preview it halfway through the show.
Oh yeah.
To entice you to keep listening. This week's matchup will be which Mortal Kombat characters would make the best NFL players, and which NFL players would survive in Mortal Kombat. By Mortal Kombat standards.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a fun matchup for sure. Also, just a quick shout out to the NBA playoffs, which are also ongoing.
Although, yeah, that's fair.
I mean, me and Lee, admittedly, are hockey guys, but I mean,
nothing. Yeah, we have no problem. I have no problem with the NBA, though. We should.
No, of course. I mean, congratulations to Portland Trailblazers finally advancing in the second round, knocked off the Oklahoma City Thunder. So typically, you know who's gonna win in basketball. There isn't as much parity. At least the past 10 years, I'd say. But
it's been longer than that. I mean,
probably.
The teams that quote unquote should win typically win. That's what I'll say. I mean, the thing with basketball, just real quick, is that it's like everyone's looking at Golden State. They should get through to the finals again. They might not, and that's okay. All right, and then in the East, I mean, you're kind of looking at the Sixers and the Celtics. I mean, those are the teams that should. I mean, see, this is the thing. The toss up this year is LeBron's just not there.
Right.
Right, so we don't know who's going to win because of that. That's not something you really want to say. But basketball's a different sport in every way. And you know, the funny thing about basketball, I have to say this because we're talking about it, is, can somebody explain to me, please, why it's called the finals and not the final? I mean, you know, so the NBA finals happen with two teams. Okay, I guess they mean plural because there's games. And then in the NHL, it's the Stanley Cup final. All right? There's no S. A lot of people don't realize
it's the final round.
It is the final round. So, like, we'll have to talk about that in another show because that is an ongoing debate on the level of Thanos versus the Avengers for me. All right? Like, someone has to win. That's another preview towards next week as well.
Yes, no, for sure.
Right. Go ahead. Sorry, Ray.
And also, just to mention, the reason why I'm not a big basketball fan is I'm a Knicks fan, and we really haven't had basketball in New York in 20 years.
No, I'm sorry, Ray.
Yeah, it's okay. Anyway, so NFL draft. Speaking of New York. Well, the first round of draft happened last night, and actually not as many surprises as you would think. Not a lot of crazy trades. Some teams moved up by giving other later trades and whatnot. But the Giants held fast at number 6. Well, first off, Kyler Murray went number 1 to Arizona. The only real surprise is that Josh Rosen is still in Arizona. So now the Cardinals have drafted themselves into a quarterback controversy.
Yes, they have. That's going to be an interesting one to watch because the Cardinals, people will start caring when they start winning.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is you have now Josh Rosen you took with the number 10 pick last year, Kyler Murray who you took with the number 1 pick this year. I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to trade him? Are they going to? It's one thing to draft a guy and have him sit behind a veteran. Josh Rosen, this is going to be his sophomore year in the league.
Yeah.
Well,
here's what I'll tell you. Look, I can actually speak to this. The Eagles did something very similar. Okay, we're not what we drafted two quarterbacks like this, but we had Sam Bradford, who we had recently discovered, right?
Yep.
And then drafted Carson Wentz, and then pretty much traded Bradford away before the season started. So a lot of this is going to come down to who meshes with the team. It's going to come down to can these two guys compete. I'm a big believer in coaching. Healthy competition on a team is a good thing. This is a job. Okay, it's a business and a job, and the best man has to win. And it's okay to be a little competitive to get spots sometimes. All right, so it'll be a really interesting set of what Murray can do here. And look, the Cardinals can also take the approach of we don't have to rush this. A lot of teams have had that kind of 1-2 quarterback situation, and someone always rises victorious at the end.
Yeah, no,
almost,
for sure.
Unless you're the Jets.
Yeah. But even the Jets didn't mess up the draft this year. Number 3, They took a defensive player. Like, they're going to show up to the defensive line.
Yeah, Quinnen Williams, yeah.
Arguably the best player in the draft, as some people on some people's boards.
Good for the Jets, man. People make fun of the Jets too much, And again, here's the thing. Okay, they've given people a reason to make fun of them.
Yes.
But the Jets are a historical franchise. I don't think it's bad for football if the Jets do well. All right.
No.
I mean, so, and again, people are ripping on their jerseys, and I'm like, I get it. Anytime something new comes out, people make fun of it. I'll tell you what. You know what makes any jersey look good? Winning a championship. All right, or doing really well. All right. Look at the Seahawks. When the Seahawks came out with those neon whatever things, everyone was like, "What is that? That's horrible." Now, when you think about it, it's like they went to this back-to-back Super Bowls and won one. Now it kind of looks different in your eyes. Like, wow, it's really sharp. It's really cool looking. Man, Russell Wilson really made those things work. As I dropped my phone on the floor a second time. Right? It's like
we're gonna get a counter.
Yeah, I'm gonna just not put it in my lap anymore. But like that's one of those things. It's like I'm glad that team drafted well. All right, they definitely got an A with that pick.
Yeah.
Right. We should also mention that Nick Bosa was the second pick because we did 1 and 3 there for the 49ers.
Yeah, for the 49ers of Joey Bosa's younger brother, obviously, but
Yeah.
a football family there, the Bosas. It should be just as good. Maybe not just as good, but definitely a very good defensive lineman for San Francisco.
Yeah, Ray, you're definitely right. And, here's the thing. I've been waiting for this for a while. We got to switch to your Giants because nobody knows what the hell they were doing in this draft. And I'll let you comment first. I'll just let you go with it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start off. I was very disappointed. It starts with the number 5 pick with Tampa Bay taking Devin White, inside linebacker, possibly the best linebacker in the draft. The Giants switching to a 3-4 last year historically means that now you're going away from pass rushing defensive linemen. You need pass rushing linebackers. Losing Devin White to Tampa Bay means probably the best pass rushing linebacker in the draft wasn't there for you. So you're at 6. You have the whole board available to you on the offensive side of the ball. You have literally 3 or 4 other quarterbacks that you could have taken, specifically the ones that come to mind, Dwayne Haskins out of Ohio State. Also, Drew Lock was still on the board. But you take Daniel Jones out of Duke. Lee, do you know the last time the Giants drafted a quarterback out of Duke?
No, Ray, but I want you to tell me about it.
Do you remember Dave Brown, Lee? You remember Dave Brown? No, you don't.
You do.
Because nobody remembers Dave Brown except for Giants fans who saw Dave Brown at a Duke take the Giants to a 6-10 and 5-11 record after Phil Simms retired. This is setting up exactly like what happened after Phil Simms retired. Phil Simms wins 2 Super Bowls with the Giants. He retires. We get some schmuck, 6'6" of pure garbage at a Duke. He faced terrible competition. He never faced anybody. They say he's a B+ player. Kind of like Daniel Bryan in wrestling. They say he has a B+ arm. They say he's not as accurate. He doesn't have the arm strength. Dude, I weigh more than him and I'm a foot shorter. He is a twig. He is going to get hit once by one of the Cowboys linemen or one of your linebackers in Philly, and he's going to snap like a twig. Okay, but again, back to Dave Brown for a second here. Dave Brown at a Duke. Duke does not make quarterbacks. Duke barely makes NFL players. They barely have a football program. How do you spend the number 6 pick in the draft? The Giants have had a top 10 pick for the past 5 years, and they've messed it up every time now. Every time. Eric Flowers, hello? He's not even with the team anymore because he's garbage. Guess what? When Daniel Jones is done in 4 years with his contract, he's going to be gone too because he's garbage. This is a terrible pick. And the worst part is, you know where Dwayne Haskins went?
Where?
Washington. Washington. 2 times a year now for the next decade, we're going to have Dwayne Haskins tearing us apart in our faces twice a year. How do you let this happen? And the worst part is, Lee, the worst part.
We're not even at the worst part yet.
The worst part is that if you really wanted Daniel Jones, if you really wanted this schmuck out of Duke, he would have still been there at 17 because the Giants coming into the draft have 2 first-round picks. How do you not take Josh Allen? How do you not if you're that low on this quarterback class? How do you not go defense here at the number 6 pick? I wanted a quarterback here, but I wanted the right quarterback. If you're gonna go with this kid who is not valued highly, he was ranked 59th on Todd McShay's big board. He was ranked as a second round pick. He wasn't. The Giants reached 50 spots for this kid. How? And then let's not even, we're not even done with the first round. Then with number 17, because you wasted number 6 on this stupid friggin' kid from Duke, you take Dexter Lawrence out of Clemson.
Clemson. Go on, they won the national championship.
Yes, but guess who wasn't on the field? Because he used steroids! How do you not? You're talking about valuable people, right people in the locker room. He's a steroid user. Do you not think that maybe his draft value is so high because he was on steroids?
Oh my God. Okay, Ray. I'm enjoying this more than you are. All right, I want to read you something to get your reaction. This is from Pete Prisco of CBS.com.
Okay.
And I'm going to read you his grading scenario for the New York Giants number 6 pick, Daniel Jones, the quarterback out of Duke. Are you ready?
Okay.
This is what I'm reading. I wanted to give this pick an F. I like Daniel Jones, but I just don't like him in this spot. They must have gotten intelligence that another team was going to take him before 17. I like him, but at number 6, it's a strange pick this early. Grade D.
And he was being kind that he gave them a D. He was being kind. He wanted to give them an F. Again,
he did.
He might not be a terrible. He might not be a terrible player, but at number 6 overall in particular, that is such a reach.
Well, this is what I'll tell you. Okay, this is what I'll tell you about that pick. Is it is either going to play out in a New York way where this is going to be the greatest thing that's ever happened by accident, right? And someone's going to look like a genius, or it's going to be the opposite. Now this is definitely, and follow me here, this is a Tom Brady-esque scenario, but in a New York way. Whereas if Tom Brady had failed, no one would have cared. But if this fails, I mean, you were going to have people burning jerseys. Now, Ray, this is an important question, okay? Because Manning's been there a long time. Will you, Ray, be buying a Jones quarterback jersey?
No. No, I would only buy
Ray,
it to, like you
he's
say,
your
burn
quarterback,
it.
Ray. You gotta support the team.
No, he's not. He's first off.
If I get you a Duke Jones jersey, would you wear that?
His first year, he's gonna be sitting the bench. That's for sure. He's definitely gonna be riding the bench. But,
this is lovely.
And then at the end, I'm at a workshop and I'm looking at my phone. I'm getting the updates, and then I find out the Giants trade back into the first round the 30th overall pick. They give up two of their a 4th round pick and a 5th round pick, I believe, or 2 4th round picks. Anyway, they give up later round picks to get back into the first round to take a cornerback who isn't bad, but again, probably still would have been there 7 picks later at 37 with the Giants in the second round.
We're talking DeAndre Baker out of Georgia.
Yes, he's not a bad corner. Some people actually believe he might actually be the best corner in the draft. And it is a position of need because the Giants have so many holes on defense. But why in a draft where you have to rebuild your whole defense into the 3-4 scheme after you transitioned so hastily out of the 4-3, which is what we've been running for 25 freaking years? How do you not plan to use all your draft picks to rebuild that defense and then to draft a guy that would have still been there 7 picks later?
Ray.
Yes.
As an Eagles fan, I've seen my team dismantled and put back together with similar tactics, and this is what I'll tell you. In true NFL fashion, the sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Tomorrow, a better draft pick. Tomorrow, the Giants are only 3 to 5 to 10 years away. Tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to stop because we don't have much time. We got to switch. Ray, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Listen, look.
Your Eagles drafted a left tackle, heir apparent to Jason Peters, 6'5", 350.
Eagles are looking good. We got great storylines. I mean, and look. You're entering either one of the greatest surprise draft eras ever for your team, or it's going to suck for a while. I don't know what else to say to you. All right, but like, look, we've seen this. We've seen weirder bad. I think like we did this with McNabb too. We drafted Donovan McNabb when other people were. The Giants had some intelligence to make that pick. I don't know what it was. Nobody knows what it was, but something happened where they did that, and again, I think you'll agree with me. That is the most New York thing I've ever seen. Ever in a draft. That was a complete like New York move, if you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Right? They're gonna will this kid to be your starting quarterback.
Oh my god.
But no matter what it takes, he might have a bionic arm by the end, but they're gonna make it happen. Okay, Ray, mashup time.
Mashup time. All right, so moving on into our mashup now, we have a great one for you. Unlike the Giants quarterback situation, we have football players that could survive the Mortal Kombat tournament and Mortal Kombat players that would actually do well playing football. Lee, I'm going to start things off with football players that I think could survive the Mortal Kombat tournament. Just a note, can also do historical players. The first one for me, being a Giants fan, is Lawrence Taylor, especially when he's coked out of his mind.
Of course. Let's give a big LT welcome. To Mortal Kombat, Lawrence Taylor.
LT and MK sounds good to me.
Yeah, which brings me to my next point, children. Do lots of cocaine if you're going to do Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. I mean, the dude fought in WrestleMania. The dude is like,
Well, I mean, look, he successfully fatalityed a quarterbag.
Yeah, he broke his leg, snapped his toe.
He literally did a Mortal Kombat move on a guy. I mean, granted, he had the medics come out right away. But, like, obvious pick. Matt has to be there.
Yeah, no, Lawrence Taylor is an obvious choice. As somebody who, a real-life person who plays football, or did play football in his prime, would have been a great combatant in the Mortal Kombat tournament.
Right, how many players are we going to do? Like 2 or 3?
You want to do a couple? We'll do a couple? Because I got a second one, but you pick one now.
Well, yeah, okay. My main guy is Ray Lewis, if I had to pick one.
He knows a thing or two about murdering people.
Yes. Jesus. I'm not going to comment on that too much. But yes, look, just the persona of Ray Lewis, him coming into the Netherrealm, or whatever place he wants to be, the overworld, underworld, whatever. I could see him coming out and trying to kill somebody. He played that way, especially a younger version of him. But with the swagger, so Ray Lewis would be one of my Mortal Kombat characters, and I think people would agree. Tell us if you don't agree, but I think people would agree.
Yeah, no, I think Ray Lewis would be great. Another one, again, I'm reaching back into the history of the NFL. Mean Joe Green.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mean Joe Green.
He's not. I can already see his fatality where he rips someone's torso up and throws it at a kid. Here you go, kid. Kills Sub-Zero. Here you go, kid. Thanks, Mean Joe.
Yeah. And he pops open a Coke or something. It's just
yeah. Right. And then I'll just get to do one more. But Dick Butkus probably would be on mine. He's still kind of mean. Like I could just see him. Yeah. I don't think he'd win too often, but I could see him in the game.
Oh, one of the greatest linebackers of all time. I mean.
Yeah. He was a mad guy.
Classic Bears, like old school Bears, right there.
I think modern players too, like Sue would probably be there. He's got no problem stepping on someone.
Stomping guys in the face or whatever, like as first fatality, like. Oh,
could totally see that.
Yeah, no,
Urlacher could probably be in the game, even though he's retired now. But I could see that.
No, I definitely think there's a lot of football players I think that would fit in pretty well into the Mortal Kombat tournament. So
do you think Ryan Leaf would be a good Mortal Kombat personality?
No, he'd be the guy.
He'd be so mad.
He'd be the guy. He'd be the little old lady in Mortal Kombat 10 that you throw at your opponent.
I like it
from the background.
Yeah, the only other name that comes to mind is Chuck Bendarek. I could see him in the game too. He's a tough guy, but these are people that are just gladiators, different time period.
Yeah,
could want to rip your head off. Yeah, I could see that.
The game has changed a lot from back then, but I definitely think all those guys in their primes were forces to be reckoned with.
For sure. So now we have to switch to the more fun thing, which is which Mortal Kombat characters could play in the NFL.
Yeah. No, this is a tough one a little bit.
It's weird because you get a lot of quarterbacks, is what I realized. You get a lot of quarterbacks in the Mortal Kombat world.
Right.
All right, and you got some good defensive players. So I think the rule set for this is like we're not doing any of the cyborgs because they have an unfair advantage. Although that's doing that really loosely with that, but but you can use people like Goro and stuff like that, with multiple arms and stuff. Yes. So Ray, why don't you go first?
Well, I mean, it's good. It's funny that you mentioned quarterback. I mean, if I was to pick a quarterback as cocky as he is, as Hollywood as he is, he actually would fit in with a lot of modern NFL quarterbacks. I think you have to go with Johnny Cage.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on this. And it's funny, just a shout out to Mortal Kombat 11. It's like you got the young Johnny Cage, the inexperienced Johnny Cage, who just kind of slings the ball. He's a gunslinger. Then you get the more mature Johnny Cage, who's like more of he's at the end of his career, but he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it definitely
go back to the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny Cage is in that. I mean, he likes to call the shots. He's not always right, and not everybody listens to him. But especially as he matures in the Mortal Kombat series, he becomes more of a leader. So I think he would have a very rocky start to his career, but I think that he would definitely evolve into that Pro Bowl caliber kind of quarterback that you could definitely believe, almost like a Brett Favre. Actually.
For sure. Yeah, I could see that. He kind of has that attitude, just not the accent.
Yeah, exactly. Gunslinger a bit. And another one I would think would be a great football player would be Jax.
Easily. Running back.
Yeah, exactly. He's that Bo Jackson type, except for with bionic legs, he's got bionic arms. Just stiff arming everybody.
Everyone, just get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. So
right?
I think Jax is a great, again, offensive side of the ball player. So
I could totally see Jax playing in the NFL, even without his arms. Even without those arms, I could see it. I want to say Shao Kahn. Just he's gigantic.
Ooh, could you imagine him lining up as tight end?
Yeah, he wants to murder people. I mean, that's a great point.
He's Gronk.
Yeah, he is Gronk, but more brutal.
New Mortal Kombat movie, cast Gronk as Shao Kahn.
Right. So the other players I'm looking at, obviously Goro would be I forgot his cousin's name, the female counterpart. Shiva, yeah. Goro and Shiva would be. I mean, you kind of have to put him at receiver.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. You could go up for the ball, reach up with two hands to grab the ball, but also pushing the defender off.
Yeah, I'd love to see the NFL referees have to watch that. Yeah. Apparently they still don't know what they're doing. And then if you go back to the Scorpion might make a good quarterback. He's used to throwing things.
That's true. That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
I could see that. Yeah, go. And then when you look at defensive players, I think Baraka is actually a really good candidate to be doing that. And Kintaro, right? Kintaro's a big dude.
Yeah, Kintaro, another four-armed Shokin.
Yeah, I forgot
maybe
about
put him
that.
in the secondary or something as a safety.
Yeah, it was a weird time when they made these guys.
Yeah.
And then I think like late draft pick, but Kano could be a good defensive player too. I'm going way back to the original story. Oh, he's in the new game now.
I could see him as like a cornerback or something. He doesn't have a lot of size.
Who would be good? And this is like a lost Mortal Kombat character, but I thought he was always pretty good. Nightwolf.
Yeah, well, supposedly he's going to be a DLC character.
Really? I always liked Nightwolf.
That is a rumor. That is only a rumor. That is not fact. That has only been reported as a rumor. But I mean, I was a big fan of Nightwolf in Mortal Kombat 3 when he debuted as well. I think he could. I definitely think with he has some.
I think he was in 2. Wasn't he in 2 also?
No, Nightwolf.
Maybe you're right. You might be right. You might have been in 3.
Yeah, he debuted in 3. I mean, there's a lot of actually guys who would actually be like Stryker. Also, you remember Stryker?
I hate Stryker. He's like, if I wanted a cop in the game, like what, really? I remember he used to throw those little like the grenades at people. I never really liked Stryker.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. But he's used to throwing bombs. Like he could throw. He could be a quarterback. He'll be a backup quarterback. He'll be a backup quarterback.
That I can agree with.
Yeah,
right. All right, and he's like Steaming Willie Beam, and he's like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
I've been playing today. And then like I said, the reason I didn't pick any of the cyborgs is Cyrax, Ermac, and they're fun, but they don't really make sense in this. And then I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. I mean, like Katana would probably be. I mean, not to exclude any of the female players, but she's pretty ruthless.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sonya's played by Ronda Rousey now. I think she could play.
I know. Sonya Blade would be a good one. Yeah. I could see Scorpion being I could see Raiden being a coach.
Oh yeah, that's a good call. Yeah. Raiden and Shinnok are the two
against
coaches
each other.
Opposite against each other. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And Raiden's really good, but he messes up every once in a while.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Kind of like a Bill Belichick, kind of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He is the Bill Belichick of the Mortal Kombat universe. He's got a lot of Mortal Kombat victories, but not, he had a perfect season going at one time, and someone came in and stepped up and beat him.
Oh, the good days.
Memories
good
of the
days.
times I've left behind.
It's going to be a while since before we have those again.
You drafted a quarterback from Duke, number 6 in the draft, overall. Unprecedented. Okay.
Well, I think that does it for this week on Geeks Who
Lee
Likes.
wins. Footballality.
Yeah. Yeah, I just got fatality right there.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, brutality. But yeah, I think that's this week's episode. So yeah, let us know.
I think it is too, yeah.
Let us know in the comments below. Send us an email, geekswholikesports@gmail.com. What you guys think, what Mortal Kombat characters, what position would they play if they played in the NFL? What football players could play could handle themselves in the Mortal Kombat tournament? What do you think of the draft? Especially, I mean, we'll touch on the draft very quickly again next week after we see the later rounds. But what do you think of the first round? What do you think as the draft progresses? And let us know what you think about the NHL playoffs. As usual, just leave comments below. We love hearing from you guys. And
go see Endgame. So we're giving you a week. Honestly, if you're listening to this show and you haven't seen it in a week, barring some sort of vastly good excuse, I can't help you.
Yeah.
It's just Geeks Who Like Sports. You should have seen it already, but we'll let it go by that.
Yeah.
Because we have to discuss it.
Yes. No, it has to be discussed. But yeah, so for Lee, I'm Ray. Thanks again for listening, Geeks Who Like Sports, and we'll talk to you next week.
Cue the music.